Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Unplugged Live. I'm just waiting for my colleagues to join. We've been having a few technical issues, but hopefully we'll be able to host our live today. I think we have Sergio. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Yeah, feeling good. A little bit, we usually say, under the weather, but
Yeah.
just because I've been going through some health issues as of late. Nothing too serious, fortunately, but still, yeah, when we have to deal with it, we have to deal with it. So, what about you?
Well, it's what it is. So a lot of stuff going on. There's always things to deal with. I've been quite busy over here. Had a few tours the last days, even with some weather issues. We went around it. We managed to do the tours the best way possible. But yes, a little bit dodging the bullets about the bad weather. Because we've been seeing what's going on everywhere, and we've been pretty much watching the news. It hasn't been easy around here. So we try our best, but sometimes we really need to be creative and to adapt ourselves the best possible way because of these unexpected things. But we keep strong. So this
Yeah.
is in fact
So
the
we
time
have
of the
the
year where we would expect this kind of changes of weather, but we keep strong. So
no,
it is what it is.
I would say it's normal, at least over here for me.
Yeah.
Well, today was the first sunny day in something like a week or so, so I'm feeling a little bit excited. Like I like to tell people, my guests, good thing that we have the Porto wine cellars over here in Porto, and when it's raining and we have a day that ends it with wine, then we go and we drink some wine.
You you reminded me of a story I had a few years ago, still when I was working for a company doing private tours across the country. I had dropped my guests at the Pousada Serra da Estrela, so the hotel almost at the top,
Hmm.
and I stayed the night at Covilhã. So my hotel was down the mountain. But the next day it had snowed during the night, so the next day I could not reach the top. The road was closed, so I could not pick up my guests. But and I called the hotel, so telling them, okay, well, the road is closed, it's snow everywhere, so I'm sorry, but there's no way that I can go and pick you up over there. So their reply was quite well humored. They just told me, don't worry, because we really wanted to see snow. So it's beautiful over here. We are very happy to have a lot of snow around the hotel, and we are glad that we bought a few cases of wine on the last few days. So we have a lot of stuff to deal with today. So and I spent the day at the hotel, pretty much at Covilhã. It was cold and snowing on the mountain, and I ended up just staying the whole day at the hotel because it was impossible to reach the top of the mountain. But sometimes it is what it is. We need to adjust ourselves. We need to adapt ourselves with what we can do. Um, Last week I also spent pretty much a full day at Régua at the hotel because I had a day supposedly to do some pictures, to take some photos, and of course to enjoy the the beauty of the Douro Valley,
Hmm.
but the weather wasn't great at all. So I ended up spending most of the time at the hotel. But what can we do? So we are on that time of the year, that season where we it's expectable to have days like this. We just need to adjust ourselves and to adapt. But We keep strong. So better days are coming. Today I had here where I live some persistent showers, but some sunshine as well. So hopefully on the next few days we will have some nicer sunny days. And we keep going on tours with a little bit with better weather, but always with a great mood.
Yeah, improvisation
Well,
is always good, and this is the advantage of having boots on the ground.
hmm
See that Gabriel is over here watching, but let's see if he can
yeah, I've
join
I've
in or
been I've
not.
been I've been trying to add him here, but it seems like Facebook it's not cooperating on this side.
Probably
We
because of
tried
the
already a
interview
few
that he
times.
gave to the news
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
tornado.
Exactly. So Gabriel now it's a TV star, and these lives are already just too little for him. But let's try again to see if Gabriel can join us. Of course, we
Yeah,
miss Gabriel around here.
we'll keep on
But
trying, but
yeah,
nevertheless, I
technical
think that
issues.
I think that people have already guessed that the topic is going to be a little bit about the weather today. And yeah, because we're getting into that point where the weather is becoming very inconsistent, and even the best forecasts are starting to miss quite a bit. Um, People who are regulars over here watching our live sessions, they already know that I have a very nice saying where I like to say that even if the weather is grim, at least the sun will always make an appearance at the Douro Valley, even if it is for just a brief second. But yeah, this definitely causes some constraints, and we're seeing quite a bit of people. And I've been talking with partners, particularly at the Douro Valley, and they said that their October month was fantastic, November not so much. And I think it's we're all starting to feel it a little bit. We were very blessed by having a very stable October weather-wise, very good weather, nice sunny days, relatively warm, not too hot nor too cold. And now we're starting to get to that portion of the year where the weather is starting to put a bit of a damper on people's plans, and they're starting to change to other things that they might do. Um, I noticed for myself, it has slowed down for me substantially. I'm actually going on a tour this week. I'm actually just going on another tour next week as well. And then I just have the one more in December, returning customers. So that's always a very good sign. And we are going to do something a little bit different. But yeah, we've always worked around the weather. Sometimes it's not that necessary, and it's a question that a lot of people ask. I imagine that they also ask you the same question, Lionel, which is in case should we expect some rain? In case it rains, what are we going to do? How is that going to affect our plans? Should we cancel? Even more so, I would say Gabriel. I know that he's watching, even though he's unable to join at this moment. But he's for sure watching, and he probably will give some input, if not in person, if he's unable to join. He'll chime in on the comments at the very least. But the Algarve is traditionally the location that lives more from the weather because people go to the Algarve, and first thing that comes to mind when we talk about Algarve is its beach, and so we have all of these ideas where we the weather might influence some tours more than others, but it's always possible to work around and have a great day. Um, from my end, I always tell people that the weather, the rain, it's a minor inconvenience in a day that we will have at the Douro Valley. Because the tours, the tastings, they all unfold indoors. There's no open air cellars, for example. There's no, you might not be able to walk amongst the vines, but to be honest, at this time of the year and the leaves are now starting to fall, you're only going to see naked vines and the workers just trimming down the vines. We might be able to see a little bit of the olive harvest still, but again, it's something that you can see passing by and from the comfort of a car, not a big issue, I would say. Obviously, walking tours struggle a little bit more with bad weather because if you have to go from point A to C to B to C, D, and E, etc. Obviously, if you're walking around town, like for example, I'm thinking about walking tours in Porto, might not be such a pleasant experience. So By the way, number one tip for Porto, if you're coming during this time of the year, during the winter time, use the metro. So don't worry about Ubers, taxis, or whatnot. Porto is already a very confusing city traffic-wise. And if you want to go from point A to point B, use the metro system. It's really good. And the majority of attractions are within walking distance. So if you feel like it, just bring an extra pair of socks in your bag, in your purse, in your backpack, whatever. Um, um, a rain jacket, an umbrella, and that's it. That's all you need to enjoy Porto. So yeah, I'm rambling over here on and on about the weather, but these are just some of the advices that I have for people. Organize tours, organize trips, especially when there is a vehicle involved and when you're visiting vineyards locations, unless it's something like, for example, what I like to do, stargazing, which is obviously very weather dependent. In that case, don't fret too much about the weather because some of the best memories that you can create are actually created on days where you're not expecting them to happen. And the example that I have for this is my wife and I. 13 years ago, when we went on our honeymoon to the Dominican Republic, it was raining and we still went to the swimming pool, an outdoor swimming pool. And if I had to think back on my honeymoon at the Dominican Republic, I would say that this is the only memory that I have very vivid on my memory. Just the two of us, a couple of other couples over there as well, but we were the crazy ones, just enjoying a swimming pool during a rainy day. So, what about you, Lionel? Well, we can
Well,
read Gabriel's comment before we
yeah, well,
start.
I was just starting to read. Yes,
Yes.
well, it's a little bit hard when we talk about the weather with travelers, because many of them they plan the travels for months and months, sometimes over a year before, and it's a little bit disappointing, a little bit frustrating to just come over and the weather goes crazy. Okay, so this time of the year, what's happening? It's not so uncommon. Of course, we had some very unfortunate events, but I was reading an article and I touching what Gabriel just wrote. I was reading an article just a few hours ago that in the Algarve there has been this type of stuff once in a while, and they even brought back like an accident with an airplane long time ago that was hit by downburst and stuff like that. So that doesn't mean that it's going to be constantly like this, but weather events they happen a bit everywhere, and we get on the news, unfortunately, weather events happening here and there. This year they seem to be more present, but once in a while we have this kind of stuff. Um, it's not something that I would say, okay, cancel your tours because the weather is terrible now and it's going to be like this, constantly. The most common questions on Facebook groups are exactly how it's going to be the weather, how the weather is going to be. Um, I wrote a post about that. You wrote a post about that as well, but it's always unpredictable. So we've been having um, great times in November sometimes. By example, we barely had the so-called Verão São Martinho. We pretty much didn't feel that, and normally this last week would have been a week with some good weather, with some nice days by the statistics we've been having. But this year it's been totally off. But um, using local expertise, using local knowledge, of course, it's possible to minimize things or at least to predict a little bit better what's going to happen. You've been mentioning the Douro Valley, and I keep always in memory, and I've told you this already. Last year, I had a tour in a day that most of the companies, most of the people canceled the tour because there was a big storm alert, and pretty much, there was no one at the Douro Valley. The drive from Porto to the valley was terrible, but when we got there, the sun was shining. Okay, when we got there, the weather was nice, and pretty much following your advice, going inland to the Douro Valley, tendentially always expect that you might have the chance to have a bit of sun over there, contrarily to what can be happening at Porto. And this also applies to other areas in the country, and one of them, I've been telling this very often, it's, by example, Sintra. And touching the subject of Sintra, a lot of people plan, by example, to go to see the Pena Palace in the morning, first slot in the morning. Logistically, it's one of the things that makes sense, okay? But weather-wise, it doesn't. And the reason is simple. In general, it is foggy on the top of the mountain earlier in the day. You have more chances of having fog or some light rain on the top of the mountain. So if you plan to go to the Pena Palace early in the morning, most likely you'll get there and you see nothing. And if you plan to start with the town, normally you are below the clouds. You do, by example, and using the monuments over there as example, you do Quinta da Regaleira in the morning and then go to Pena Palace in the afternoon, the chances of getting to the Pena Palace with the view already clear are much bigger. And in fact, that's what happened to me on Saturday. This last Saturday I was there, exactly doing those monuments. So not a common thing that I do, but it's in fact about knowing how the weather normally behaves in a certain area, knowing what are most the most common patterns to happen, that we as a guides we can also help to organize that on that way. People read everywhere, oh, you go here first, you go there first, you do this, you do that. Well, that might make sense, but we are the ones that, as you already mentioned, we are the ones that put the boots on the ground. We are the ones that are doing tours, sometimes hundreds of tours on that location per year, and we see how the weather goes. We see how the things evolve. So sometimes people go to a certain place, they were there once or twice, and they just give some information that for us that we are used to get there often, it's not in fact what is what is common, or we cannot consider that it's so much a reliable information, because we know a little bit better how the things do develop over there. But this is really something that we need to be prepared to. And if the weather is not pleasant enough to have a safe experience, and I'm going to mean this, and I'm going to focus on this word, safe experience. I do have on my terms and conditions, I truly believe that you might have that as well, that due to weather events, sometimes the tours need to be changed, sometimes the things need to be changed, because the local authorities do oblige us that way. The local authorities will close the road because it's not safe. The local authorities will close the monument because it's not safe. So, of course, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, and for those that travel, it's an investment, in fact, to see certain places, but safety first. Okay, so in the last resource, or kind of in the last situation, we are the ones in the field, on the field, that can assess if it's doable or not. But the authorities, of course, if they feel that it's not safe at all, they will pretty much tell people, sorry, the weather doesn't make it safe. I saw big trees fallen again, so we already have some loss of historical trees that would be like 150, 200 years old, who fell already in Sintra. Not as devastating as it was on the storm in March, but the soils are soaked. The water levels on the water springs and the waterfalls, it's already quite high. So there's a lot of water flowing already. The soils are soaked. So the trees can be an issue with strong winds, and we always need to be aware of that. So once again, don't make the weather change your plans. But we try our best to help. We try our best to provide the best experience. But if it can't happen, it can't happen. Okay, so This is what people need to take in consideration. Traveling in low season, and as in Portugal, we still have the 4 seasons of the year. Traveling in low season, or this more like transition season, has its risks, but it also has its benefits. Way less people, and by example, yesterday I was checking tickets for today for Pena Palace and Quinta da Regaleira, and against all odds, the first slots of the day were not even close to be sold out. For most people don't know, but in general, those places sell out weeks ahead. The first slots of the day, they are constantly sold out weeks ahead. Yesterday, there were still tickets available for today for either one of those monuments. So traveling on this time of the year will have its benefits, but of course, we have its challenges. So the weather, it's one of them. But well, less crowds, cheaper accommodation, probably better to see some things. But it's a little bit of a gamble that way. Meanwhile, well, I gonna pick up to read here the comments of Gabriel. You read it already. So
Yep.
I don't know
But
if
for
you want to
reference
add
for
something on
people,
this,
it's
but
I just
I'm
want
going
to
I'm
read
going to read
them.
his comments.
Yep.
Please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to read them out loud as well, just for reference, because there's going to be people watching this afterwards on YouTube who might not have access to this, so might as well read them. I'm going to take the first one, and you'll take the second one. So
Okay.
Gabriel wrote that in the Algarve they have more than 300 sunny days, but the Algarve it's been always hit by storms, heavy rain, strong winds, including tornadoes. So this is what we've basically seen 2, 3 days ago, and
Hmm.
that's the piece. Gabriel was actually safe at home, and from his vantage point, he was actually able to take some very good footage. He caught the entire formation and the tornado breaking out and the moment that it made landfall. And that's basically a video that got viral, and that's how he got the interviews. But yeah, it's Gabriel is also saying that it's not something new that his parents and grandparents used to talk about these kinds of events. This kind of reminds me something that I saw also earlier today, that there are a few Facebook pages, Instagram pages that that are very active regarding weather forecasts and whatnot. And um, there is this forecast according to a certain model that is more in line with the European model. It's not specific to the to Portugal, but it's more European, and they're saying they're targeting that around the 20th. So that means that on Thursday we're going to have probably a big mass of cold wind coming down from the polar vortex, which is going to drop the temperature significantly. And so they've also said that it feels like all of the media are being very sensationalist about it. But this is normal for this time of the year. There's nothing to be
Hmm.
worried about. This happened in the past. So don't let the media also exacerbate, because we know that when we exaggerate certain events, it sells, it promotes. So um, this is nothing unusual for this time of the year. What we've been going through, rain in Porto, colder temperatures, the temperature starting to come down. We might even have the first snow in Serra da Estrela this week with on the 20th, if everything lines up perfectly with the dropping temperatures and whatnot. So just to wrap it up, on the first comment, he's saying that like in no other paradise, nature gives us the wake-up call and saying, I'm here, I'm not always that pleasant. It's true, it's true. But I would say that to rebate what Gabriel is saying is that it's not nature is not always that pleasant. But so far, we haven't seen, at least for this year, we haven't seen anything that falls outside of the normal weather patterns for this time of the year. Not here in Porto nor in Lisbon, I would say. The only thing that I would say probably was a little bit outside of the typical weather patterns was the huge lightning storm that we had a week or two ago or so.
Hmm.
That one, I think it was something like 35,000 discharges overnight. So that was record breaking, yes, a little bit outside of the weather pattern, but other than that, didn't cause any damage. It probably just woke up a few more persons that were up at 4 and 5 in the morning to watch all the lightning. So you want
Yeah.
to take on the
Well,
second comment?
Yeah. I'm picking up over here. So, well, what Gabriel is saying, it's due to the tornado that ended up being classified as a F2 tornado. So, something that, well, I can also say a bit out of the pattern for its strength. We had some events like this, but sometimes, well, minor, okay? But Gabriel says got calls and messages from around the world, people that were really worried. But the truth is that the news these days are often exaggerated and create hype and generate clicks and clicks
I
to earn
swear
money.
that I
Okay,
haven't seen that comment. I swear that I haven't read that comment before.
okay. But the big storm that hit the whole country, and weather it's pretty much well almost perfect again. So this has been this year had well a little bit of a I would say out of the range events. Okay, and I'm remembering the storm in Sintra and the big storm in Sintra in March. Well, I had never seen something like that. So the devastating effects are visible. Okay. This event in Albufeira, yes, it was very localized, but it was tough. But I remember, by example, when I was living at Praia de Santa Cruz in, well, 2009, we also had something that, well, two-thirds of a campsite disappeared. Some, well, buildings over there that were like beach bars and stuff disappeared. I remember a few years ago in Figueira da Foz that we also had something like that with a lot of structures that just went, well, washed off by some strong winds. So this is the kind of stuff that happens once in a while, very localized and in a very narrow, I would say, section. But it's been happening here and there, so it's not 100% new. It's unfortunate, yes, but now, well, because that happened in Albufeira, I already read comments of people asking, "Oh, I saw what happened in Albufeira. Should I cancel my trip to the Algarve?" No, the Algarve it's 200 kilometers long. Okay, the region has a lot more, and in fact, for some, Albufeira it's the place that well they don't appreciate and they go elsewhere. So this was very localized. Do not cancel. Okay, in fact. There might be some people that would love to well get a little bit of help. So do not cancel. Please go ahead and visit the Algarve and well enjoy the time. And of course, if you have the chance to well live a little bit of a positive energy, that would be very appreciated by all the locals. But in the and this is what Gabriel is saying. So winter, it's an excellent season to explore the Algarve, which has much more to offer than just beaches. So this weather news sometimes bring us to well people overreacting with the news. Media overreact or exaggerate really because they are driven for well money generated by all the clickbait. But in fact, as you said, and well, we've been talking about it. There's nothing new, just happening. Well, probably a little bit more this year than happened in other years, maybe. But this is cyclical, so we might. Who knows if we're not gonna have like 8 or 10 or 12 years without any major event happening. So this is really what well what we want to mention. So it's still worth to visit. It's still worth to come, and well we try our best to help on this. Meanwhile, we have another comment here from Steve, and thank you for your comment. Yeah, well, some floods in Lagos. Weather can be bad sometimes, but most of the time it's great. Hurricanes, and yeah. Steve says I know what hurricanes and snowstorms are. So weather in Portugal, at least here in the Algarve, it's really good. Yes,
Yeah.
for what we normally see abroad, well, we can consider ourselves still quite lucky compared to what we've been seeing from weather events abroad. So these things happen in Portugal, but Well, it's sad, but they don't get even close to the big weather events what we see abroad. So pretty much this. Sergio, want to add something else?
Um, I just want to mention one little thing. Ending on a more positive note, what we typically consider bad weather sometimes might not be as bad as we think. You had that example of your customers who were at Serra da Estrela and who got snowed in, basically.
Yeah.
And so that was an example of bad weather, but it turned out to be a positive thing for them.
Oh
But
yeah.
we actually need a little bit of bad weather for that to happen, to have some snow, to have etc. So um, another great example for people who love photography, always do it safely, of course, but when the sea is very rough, there is one lighthouse over here in Porto that is very iconic, Farolim
Hmm.
Felgueiras.
Hmm.
Very beautiful lighthouse. If you do a Google search, I'm not going to say that it's the first picture, but I actually did the search. It's on the top five, so it's literally the fourth picture that showed up over here when I did the Google search. Is of a massive wave crashing into the lighthouse, and it makes for a very spectacular photo. Obviously, do it from the distance, do it safe, but you need bad weather to capture that brutality and that brutal moment of the wave crashing into the lighthouse. It's very beautiful, and it's something that draws a lot of attention. I like it, obviously, to admire from a safe distance, but I like to see choppy seas, rough seas, big waves. Speaking of big waves, Nazaré. You also need somewhat of bad
Yes.
weather to see the big waves in Nazaré. Over
Exactly.
coming over here to the north, back to the north of Portugal, one of the most underrated areas during the winter time, it's the national park of Peneda Gerês, particularly the eastern edge of the national park, and you have a cute little town, and this is going to be a a piece of information just for people watching us, which is Pitões das Júnias. Very
Hmm.
beautiful location, very traditional, rustic. There's a couple of restaurants over there. For me, most beautiful time to go over there, winter time, because you get something like 5 to 10 centimeters of snow over there. It's not a big nuisance, covers everything in white. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So my first time at Pitões das Júnias was precisely with some snow over there. And it was 13 no 15 years ago, 15 years ago that I was there. And for me, Pitões das Júnias, it's one of those places that it's very beautiful during the summer, but for me it's even more attractive during the winter because you walk amongst the snow, you get into one of those cozy restaurants where you get served some traditional food, and then it just feels good. It's good, but again, to have that snow, you need a little bit of bad weather a couple of days before. So yeah, there are certain events that do require a little bit of bad weather. Um, Another thing that, well, it doesn't affect us directly, at least not necessarily all of us, but just this week or in the late last week, we actually had a very interesting weather phenomenon. But this time around, it was space weather. And that actually created some fantastic auroras that were visible even from here, from Portugal. I've seen pictures from people in very dark sky areas. Like, for example, I think I saw a couple of pictures from Viseu. People were able to see the auroras from Viseu, and that's even further south than Porto. Over here,
Hmm.
I couldn't see it. Well, first, light pollution. Secondly, a lot of clouds. But hey, I think I'm going to have a break in the clouds, and so maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to do something with my hobby for the next couple of days. We'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
bad
um,
weather doesn't necessarily mean bad
yeah,
experience.
yeah, and
That's
well,
what I was trying to say.
as someone who used to be outdoors and we love to be on the mud, so winter was our play season for off-roading. That's where when we really like to go outdoors. Yeah, sometimes even when everybody wanted to be cozy at home on the fireplace, we would be outdoors just mudding around somewhere. But well, it's what it is. So sometimes we really need to see the positive side of all this. And as you mentioned, sometimes you really need bad weather to have some very well great pictures or some really great images. Um, During the winter, with the sunshine, you have great images, but sometimes with overcast, with some well mist or fog here or there, with the waves crashing, you will really get well amazing pictures. I'm just reminding me of once again having seen images of probably the waves in Portugal at the highest altitude, so at Lagoa Comprida, the reservoir at 1600 meters at Serra da Estrela. And once again, with these winds, it looked like a choppy sea, but it's a dam, it's a reservoir, okay? And I was watching some images of that, and I've been there a few times with that kind of weather. That is just incredible, okay? How that body of water at that altitude creates such well big waves that even come over the walls. So for pictures, that is something quite amazing.
Yeah, one of the memories that I have of Lagoa Comprida is driving on the road just in front of the dam and not being able to see the dam.
Yes, I've been there and had the same experience as well. So I used to go to Serra da Estrela often on tour, so I've been there a few times with a very interesting weather. Just to say,
Yeah,
well,
but the difficult road leads to the most beautiful destination, and in that
exactly.
case, to the best cheese in the country.
Yeah, you get to the top, and you have that. You have that over there. By the way, I because of the bad weather, just 2 weeks ago, I ended up going to the Cheese Museum, which I hadn't been for a while. But it was pouring rain, so I was in the area on tour, and well, as an option, we ended up going to the Cheese Museum. And well, it was a nice experience. I used to go there very often in the past, so it was good. It was good to be back. So,
Yep.
without Gabriel, or well, with the comments of Gabriel, unfortunately, Facebook was well pranking us with this technical issues. Um, 30 minutes have gone. We are almost at the 40 minutes already, so we start talking, and time just flies.
Yep.
And well, I want to thank you for well for being here. I want to thank everybody who commented in here, who watched us. I'm gonna post this on YouTube in a few minutes as usual. And well, hopefully next week Facebook won't well prank us like it did today, and we'll be able to be all three together again. But well, keep on watching, keep on following us. Thank you, Laurie. Laurie just thinking about the cheese museum.
You should have taken
Um,
her to the bread museum before. Get the bread, get the
yeah, well,
cheese.
we were a little bit out of the way from the bread museum, but yes, that's another one. Next week, if Facebook is on a good mood, of course. And thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us here at another Unplugged Live. You already know if you have any questions, any well thing you would like to ask, feel free to comment and to post over here. And we're here to help now. Winter season, we might be online a little bit, well, with a bit more time, but there's still some tours to run, some tours to organize, and in my side, I have a lot more of other stuff to do. So, well, we'll be quite busy, but always, if anyone posts and well needs some help, we are here to help. Sergio, we'll keep on going. I'll see you back here next week, hopefully with Gabriel as well. And once
Yep.
again, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you
joining.
all. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a
See
great
you.
week. See you.